And we'll just mute Coy the whole time.
Exactly. And we're live.
This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 383. Ben and Coy's trip report. Finally.
Tonight, Aaron is gone. Jeremy might not as well be here. Ben prepares for the worst, or wait, is it the best? And Coy eats way too much. Again.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Jeremy. My name is Ben, and joining us once again is Coy. And welcome to the show. Well, what's going on, guys?
Well, as it says, I might not as well be here because I haven't done anything off-roady.
Well, did you have a good Thanksgiving at least?
I did have a good Thanksgiving, yeah.
That's good.
But
Cool.
Snow's in the forecast, so hopefully I can get out sometime soon and do a little snow wheeling.
Yeah, take the kids with you, go hit the trails.
It's a little far. That's the downside of being out here on the peninsula is especially this early in the season, the Olympic snow usually isn't low enough. And trying to get out to your side of the Puget Sound just takes way too long with a bunch of kids.
Yeah, it's what, at least an hour to my house, right? I think it's an hour to my house.
Yeah, something like that.
And then you've got another hour and a half or so to get to good snow.
Yeah. So it's just too far to try to go with kids for a day trip, especially. But
you got to wake up at like 4 o'clock when they're still asleep and just throw them in their car seats. They fall back asleep.
Yeah, my kids don't do that.
Oh,
we've tried that. Once they're just like lights out.
I'd say drugs, but apparently we know that doesn't work with one of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't have to use drugs. You can use something almost as good called iPads.
You get an iPad.
Yeah, they get really bad attitudes when they've had too much screen time.
You know what? That's because you're letting them watch, what's that show? Starts with this Caillou?
Nope, they've never seen that show.
Oh, okay.
They're really into Bluey right now.
That's the worst show ever. It's the worst Canada has to offer.
Well, that's Australian. And
Caillou?
Caillou.
Yeah, Caillou.
Okay,
Yeah,
like you're still behind in the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like Bluey, which is actually like one of the better ones Australia has to offer.
I do the thing where I give them options. I'm like, here's the deal. We can eat broccoli. You can go outside and stack firewood, or we can go wheeling. And then you pick, and it seems to work.
Yeah, maybe I should give that one a try.
Yeah, give that one a try.
Yeah. How about you, Coy?
Just a good Thanksgiving. Finished up my final gun purchase for probably the rest of my life. As far as my wife concerned, it is for sure. And the state of Oregon.
And then you could buy more guns.
I'm slowly getting there. One of these days, I'm going to have to move somewhere else. It's just so nice here. Yeah. And then I just ate. I had Thanksgiving on Thursday at my in-laws. And then my dad always does Thanksgiving on Black Friday. So it gives you a little bit of time to kind of flush the system to get ready for another power meal. And that's what I did.
I don't think that's what it actually does. I don't think that's enough time.
12 hours?
I don't know, man.
It's actually like 24 hours. That's, maybe not for you, but for a seasoned pro like me, like this is what I train for. I'm kind of like a performance athlete in the eating department.
Okay. We're having a hot dog eating contest.
What?
We're having a hot dog eating contest on snow wheeling trip.
Oh my god.
Let's can we do like anything but
okay, we'll do something else.
Anything but that. Like let's do Maryberry pies or something.
Marionberry pie contest.
Yeah.
Is that
very Northwest thing?
Do you have to eat it without using your hands or a utensil?
I'm willing to do it any way you guys want. We'll do the pies, then you guys pick the rule set.
Okay, we'll make yours piping hot, and everybody else's will be just lukewarm.
Yeah, Jeremy's pizza oven can only fit one pie at a time. So
I don't think pizza oven's the right method for a pie. I think
Here's what we do. We put one big pie in the pizza oven. We cut it in half, but leave it in the pan. Then we both have to eat it. No hands. One guy on each side of the table. Same pie. No homo.
2 guys, 1 pie.
Oh my goodness.
We'll video it, sell it on our yeah. Yeah.
Man, you guys.
Well, it's even worse if you think that's an American Pie reference.
Yeah. That's really all I've been up to. It's supposed to snow's dropping, levels are dropping like crazy. So I'm hoping maybe do a little snow wheeling next weekend. It's hovering in the 40s right now during the day. Our highs are like 43, 42. Getting cold, and that's here in the valley. So up at elevation, it's supposed to be dumping right now and all week.
Well, I can tell you from somewhat of an elevation, not much of one. I don't even know how far up I am, but I woke up with some snow on the ground this morning. Not much of anything, but it was I had snow this morning, and they're predicting for my house. They said 4 to 8 inches between Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon. So I've begin to prepare for snow. I had to go clean out the 4Runner because if it snows, my wife's going to drive it to work because a minivan or a Camry, not the best to go take in the snow. So I was
I don't know, man.
well,
Those Camrys, you can really do some stuff. Like they handle their own on the snow on the road. Like
I've
obviously,
had fun in a Camry.
Okay, hold on. It all depends on the tires, and we know Ben has used tires, so
No, actually, the Camry got some brand new Milestar,
then the Camry should be fine.
all season tires.
Then the Camry should probably be okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I've driven in the Camry in the snow before. It's not too bad. It's actually kind of fun because it's front wheel drive and light. So, and it's got that cool hybrid power, which is absolutely useless for the snow. But other than that, I'm just getting ready. We're going to Montana for Christmas again this year. So I'm like, oh, I need to get all this done before we leave. And, because it's less than a month away now, I'm like, and I should actually do some stuff. So
Ben, your house is at almost 700 feet.
So there we go. So high. But I mean, I'm foothills, so
I don't think 700 foot gets you foothill status, but
no, it's called the foothills. I mean,
Yeah, you can call anything whatever you want.
yeah, I mean, just because there's a sign in front of your neighborhood that says the foothills, that's just
my kids actually go to Foothills Elementary.
There's a lot of trailer parks with the name something estates.
Yeah,
they're not really fancy houses.
Yeah, there's no manners in the trailer park, just tornadoes and shame.
Tornadoes. Gotta watch out for them tornadoes. Yeah, so other than that, just getting ready for stuff. I had Pete and Vanessa, Pete who was with us at Christmas Valley. They were over for Thanksgiving too. So, and that just getting ready for the next adventure.
Well, we've got a new contest going on right now.
Is it very easy to enter?
It's terribly simple. You didn't think that was where I was going with it, did you? All you need to do is you need to tell us what rig you would buy, how you'd build it, and what you would use it for if you won a large sum of money. We'll read off the entries on our December 19th show and pick a winner at random. And the winner's going to receive a pair of worn Epic shackles. Here's how you enter. You go to any of our social media and message us through there, or you can email us directly at offroadpodcast@gmail.com.
And all you got to do is have that entered before that episode airs. And we've...
hold on. Airs live.
Correctly. Airs live. So yeah, get that in before... December 19th at 7 p.m. Pacific, and you'll be entered. We actually got a handful of entries this weekend, so it was pretty cool to see that.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
And guess what?
Chicken butt.
But there is a new patch of the month. Boom, here it is. I was trying to download it, but for some reason it wasn't working. Oh, it's because it's a weeb. That's why. So yeah, this is December's patch of the month. I like it.
It's like the Viking Santa Claus that's loaded for bear.
Yeah. Well, look, he's got a tattoo that says Noel. Noel. Let's see. He's got a kukri, a Gucci Glock.
Oh, I don't know if we can show this on YouTube. His jingle bells are showing.
Oh, his jingle bells are showing. If I better
Oh,
stop sharing this.
Ding-a-ling a ding-dong.
So yeah, looking forward to that one. It'll end up on the headliner or the front door for a little bit.
On the front door.
I've got a patch panel.
Yeah.
I'm terrible about putting my patches in the Forerunner, and then every now and then they fall off the headliner. So what I do if they find their way inside is I slap them on the door, and then once it gets full, I just go out to the Forerunner and go pin.
Not like literally where everybody else can see them and or steal them.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, they're on the inside of the front door. So
I think you should do that, and then anybody who needs a new patch can just go over to Ben's house.
That would be pretty cool, but I'm not that nice.
Need to set up like a take one, leave one. You might get some cool patches that way, you know.
Or if Halloween's any indication, you'll just lose all your patches.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I didn't have a single trick-or-treater, so I'd be all good.
Well, you don't get much trick-or-treaters when you don't turn your lights on.
Yeah, I've seen your house. They thought it was abandoned.
They were like that.
No. For Halloween, it just looks like a horror house.
It's clearly haunted.
Clearly. By a redneck.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
Josh here is in the comments saying next week I'm going to take the Camry wheeling. And then Eric, another way Jeremy could finally get his podcast patches.
Yeah, just leave them on your front door for me.
I'll do that for you. I'll put them right on the front door after this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm take a picture.
Next time I'm in Bonnie Lake.
Yep, there you go. In the news today, our first story is here from Jalopnik. The 2023 Ford Super Duty. How much do you think it will be able to tow now?
1,000 pounds.
No, a whole lot.
Camels.
40,000 pounds.
Wow.
So they're saying that the 2023 lineup will be available with 1,200 pounds of torque, foot-pounds of torque from its Power Stroke diesel engine. And it will be able to tow 40,000 pounds with a fifth wheel. Comparable to the Ram, which is at the Ram 3500 HD, can tow a maximum of 37,050 pounds. In the Silverado 3500 will be able to can offer 36,000 pounds. So we're talking 4,000 more pounds than the bow tie patrol. So
the bow tie patrol.
Yep.
I don't understand why you would buy a truck to tow 40,000 pounds. Like, you're deep into actual semi territory. Like, if you regularly need to tow even close to 40,000 with the price of a new 2023 Super Duty,
yeah,
for like far less money, you can buy an actual used semi, probably an old mechanical cat, you know, and just go 108A all day long. Just start doubles, triples, whatever you need.
Well, when it comes to electronic updates, they'll be able to get it over the air with built-in 5G Wi-Fi. They've got several different engine options here. The 6.7 liter diesel, 6.8 gasoline V8, which makes 405 horsepower, 445 pounds of torque. The 7.3 liter Godzilla V8, those numbers go up to 430 and 485 foot-pounds of torque. The base diesel engine's 475 horsepower, 1,050 pounds of torque, followed by the HO diesel that gives you 500 horsepower and 1,200 pounds of torque. But be ready to fork out at least $45,000 if you want to order one through Ford. Plus, that's including the $2,000 destination charge.
I bet there isn't a single one that sells for that price. And if it is, it's so base model with the smallest V8.
That
and just
probably
like fleet model with no bed or something.
That's probably fleet model or base model. Though I will say that the Super Duties with the nice platinum package, you get like those massaging seats, leather, heated, cooled, all those fun options that you pay lots and lots of money.
The massaging seat sounds nice, but I would actually pay more for one that keeps me awake by just like sticks a thumb in the small of my back sporadically. I'm like,
I did not think that's where you're going with the thumb comment.
Just whatever it takes to keep you awake. I don't want it to be too enjoyable. So not that kind of massage.
Yeah, but you're not wrong with that. The comment about you might as well buy a used diesel, like considering what you're paying there.
He said a semi.
Sorry,
not a used diesel. Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's only about $1 a pound. If it's $45,000 and 40,000 pounds, you can tow.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is when you have the ability to tow that much, that when you're towing lighter stuff, it's not as much stress on the engine, right? Theoretically,
no, it's still as much stress because then they'll be in the hammer lane with some quad axle toy hauler going past you at 84 miles an hour. Boom! It'll blow me 2 lanes across the road as their Louisiana squatted Ford F-350 just blows down the 5 hauling.
Carolina squat.
Oh, yeah. Well, Louisiana squat's a little different, but yeah.
Louisiana's the other way, right?
Yeah. It's squatting because all the rust and leaf springs have fallen out.
Why for Louisiana?
Yeah, I don't know. Just making stuff up, man.
Well, here our next story is from Motor Trend, and the 2023 Ford Transit Trail could become the camper, the van for your adventurous dreams, because it's coming with an all-wheel drive option. There's a lot of information that they gave us here on this article. I'm going to flip through some of the pictures here. Or Jeremy, you want to flip through some of these pictures while I talk about it?
Oh, I hate doing this. I always have to remember how to do it.
Brand. Scroll down to overlay. Teaching Jeremy to podcast this episode. Don't worry, guys.
First, I got to open the article.
No, I've got it on the. On the
you have
Singleberry.
Got
this
it.
Is a great pod, guys. Great pod.
Great pod. All right, so it comes with the unique black Transit blue oval grille design with integrated marker lamps. That's Raptor-esque, at least.
Sweet Raptor, bro.
Yeah,
there's only 3 of them, so nobody will mistake you for the Raptor.
It's so wide that it needs those Raptor lights. Aggressive black wheel arches with cladding. Black HID headlights and fogs. People are still using HIDs.
Apparently.
Jeez, Ford's getting behind already. Slider style driver and passenger side steps.
Slider style.
The funny thing is in the article that talks about it adds it helps with easy ingress and egress and protection from branches, maybe short arm power adjusting, power folding, heated side mirrors with turn signal caps, front let's see. It has 245 75 16 Goodyear Wrangler workhorse all-terrain tires mounted on a spokey 16-inch transit wheel, trail transit wheel, which is a 35.5-inch tire. They're 2.5 inches taller and more sidewall than the standard transit wheels, which gives you to contribute to the 2.75-inch wider track over the base transit. It comes with a 2.25-inch body lift. I'm kind of surprised they went with a body lift versus suspension, but I don't know what they offer for suspension in those. There's a 3.5-inch ride clearance increase with the improved ground clearance, including the approach and departure angles. It comes with the option for an optional roof vent, rear door, passenger door, privacy windows, illuminated sun visors, built-in 400-watt AC inverter, various outlets for 110, 12-volt, and USB, a front overhead cab shelf, standard 4-way manual swivel, driver and passenger seat, so you can flip the seat around like in the picture here. There's an option for an extended fuel tank to go from 31 gallons from 25. Optional dual alternators, the availability of an upfitter package, which is pretty cool. It's Ford's option to the Switch Pro, so you can add your accessories and it's pretty easy to wire in. I've dealt with those in the Fords before. Pretty nice. And then the best part about this article for me is, most importantly, there's a standard dual note horn, an aggressive beeper to match the aggressive looks. There's several configurations in which you can get this in. It's a 148-inch wheelbase with medium or high roofs and long, and a high roof for extended length. The high roof allows you a 6'5" person, someone who's 6'5" tall, to stand. So like the Amazon vans, I'm guessing, like tall like that. And then it's powered by twin turbo 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6, 310 horsepower, 400 pounds of torque, with Ford's 10-speed select shift automatic, and it comes with an intelligent all-wheel drive, 5 selectable drive modes: normal, eco, mud and ruts, tow and haul, and slippery. And it comes standard with the heavy-duty trailer package, which is 6,500 pounds max towing capacity, a payload of just over 37,000 pounds, or 3,700 pounds. And it comes with the 3.73 gears and a limited slip, heavy-duty front axle, AGM dual batteries, touchscreen, adaptive cruise control, blind spot assist, keyless entry pads, and high resolution digital camera, and it starts at $65,000.
Wow, Ben, you really flex those hooked on phonics skills.
Yes, I big words. So yeah,
I have to say that backup beeper, it doesn't say what it is, but I hope that it's just a recording of like Mike Rowe saying beep beep.
No, why would it be that cool?
Yeah.
So do you think that we're all going to live to see the day when we look back at these vans like we look at the old Toyota 22R camper trucks?
I'd still prefer the camper trucks.
We're just sharing it on Facebook. Check this out. It's $4,000.
No, I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff they showed that you can do with it, like that interior, that's real cool and all, but I mean, you're limited to 2 passengers at that point.
Good.
I like
Good.
Yeah, I was going to
I
say
would
that's a
want
bad
more.
thing.
Well,
All
my
parents
wife will
want
never go for one. I'd much rather have, like, you remember the old camper vans where like the back seat turned into a bed?
Yeah.
And then you had like the dinette that turned into a bed, but it also was seating for 4 people. because it had seat belts. So
Yeah. Seemed
I don't know.
perfectly safe.
Perfectly safe.
Yeah, it seems like in a head-on collision, you're not going to just like go flying sideways and hurt yourself, right?
Well, when you have 4 people belted up side by side, I assume it's just your heads are like one of those pendulum, thump, 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 thump. And then the last guy's head shoots through the windshield.
Well, we don't need any of them. I don't know. Just as someone with a family, that's where I think those sucks. Because my wife's not going to drop that much money on a vehicle. Period.
Yeah. I mean, you're clearly going to get like a 2023 Ford F-350 and then just pick up the biggest toy hauler you could find.
Someone with a family as big as mine, that's probably what they would do instead of doing something
Be
smaller.
under 200 grand. So it'd be perfect for your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Ford is cheaper, so there's that.
Well, not the one that totals 40,000 pounds, I bet.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Hey, Coy, do you remember like back in, what was it? When did we go on that trip? September?
I don't know. Which one of you guys just deleted like the entire show notes though?
That was me, and it wasn't anything important.
Okay. I was just scrolling down and then it all disappeared. I was like, what did I do?
No, it was just it was generic stuff.
I might have accidentally deleted an overlay photo though,
Oh man.
because I was absently deleting the ones from the van.
Well, yeah, we went to Christmas Valley. When was that? A couple months ago now.
What was that?
Which I really appreciate that we've pushed this out, and then Aaron bailed on the show. He just won't give me and Ben our little chance at glory because I planned on talking so much crap to him since he didn't come on either of these trips, and then he just slid out. Cowardly move.
No, I know. Well, I mean, look at it. We I got my I got all my stuff for that trip. What was it? Taken care of. Sorry, I'm downloading all this stuff for this episode. It's gone now. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, you showed up. Actually, you beat me there. Strangely, it's like the first time.
That's a first.
I have like really well. I shouldn't. My wife has great excuses, so I was gonna leave. Say I got home. We showed up Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna leave Thursday morning, and then my wife had it all packed. We're gonna leave Wednesday night earlier, and I got home, and my wife likes to play farmer, and she has a couple cows, and one of them decided to give birth that day, and then have major problems. Like calf had to be pulled. Then the cow that gave birth had calving paralysis, was falling down, and all kinds of stuff. So I got to leave in the morning. So
But
I took off there.
Wrong, right?
Yeah, everything. Like I was just shaking. My wife thought I was gonna be mad, and I was like, "Nah, I don't even plan on it working out at this point." So I just will leave at the boarding.
Yeah, and then I actually left on time. I had no problems getting down there, except I left a lot later than planned. Trying to remember what time I was supposed to be getting there. I think I said noon or 4 o'clock I was going to be there. Yeah, it did not work out. I didn't get there until about 9 o'clock. No, about 11 o'clock at night. And then I couldn't find anyone. And there was a truck parked with
I came late because you're like, "Hey, here's all the parts I need to get home."
Oh yeah. Well, no. So we get to camp, and I realized that my trailer plug on the Forerunner or on the trailer side had come undone and ripped the plug off. that plugs into the back of the 4Runner. So I messaged Coy. I was like, hey, I need this stuff. Can you bring it or parts to fix it? And,
which worked out because I had for some reason I had all the right plugs and stuff in my shop, and I actually knew where they were at. I was able to find them easily because usually I'm like, I know I have one, just don't know where it's at.
Yep.
So I loaded that all up. I took off. I got there at, I don't know, 9. You guys were kind of just barely rolling out of bed next morning.
Yeah, I was. No, I'd been up. I thought I was up, or was it you? Yeah,
no, I mean you were up, people were up, but kids are still asleep. Like, you know, everybody was working it.
Yeah,
everybody's getting up. Stuff. People were cooking breakfast.
We rolled into camp at 12 o'clock, and we weren't even in the right camp. There was a Ford truck there, I want to say, and they had like the bed campers, and they left. And I'm like, oh, we really were in the wrong spot. But then your wife's parents rolled up in a side-by-side, and they're like, hey, are you with Coy? And we're like, yes. Oh, camp's down here more.
Yeah. My in-laws came, brought their side-by-side, and then my friend Roy and his wife and kids, he brought his giant, he's going to hate me for this. I can't remember the brand. It's essentially a marathon bus. I mean, it's a 40-foot diesel pusher. And he drove it through the sand out to the campsites. It was awesome.
Yeah, it might as well be a tour bus for what it is.
Yeah, it's like a 97 or something. It's not brand new, but it's perfect. It's got like a soaking tub and stuff in it, and mood lighting and all kinds of stuff.
That thing, when it was brand new, was like state of the art for what it had. I mean, it might as well be like a modern trailer on wheels.
So you and Pete, though, so if you Google how to get to Christmas Valley, Google Maps will take you on a gravel road for, how long is that gravel road? 2 hours? An hour at least?
Yeah, like an hour. An hour of off-road driving.
Yeah, it's like,
it's not smooth. It's not smooth gravel. It's like blah, 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 blah.
I would say graded, but I don't know how often they grade it. Like it
hasn't been in the last couple years.
I usually warn people about that because it will say that's 3 minutes faster. You know, if you do 60 miles an hour down this not so good gravel road.
I did 40 down it, and that's probably why my trailer got bounced around so much and that plug popped loose.
You had an axe or something in the back that bounced and like poked a hole in the back of your camper.
Yep.
And then your trailer wiring came undone and ate itself on the gravel.
Yep.
And then Pete had a ground strap underneath that just gravel kicking up from his Tundra just ate. It was still grounding, but all the insulation was just gone. Just sandblasted it.
Yeah, definitely learned something with that drive.
Yeah, and then we showed up. I got there, and we all kind of got ready, and we went on a little dunes run. Just kind of went out and had some good times. And then we had one other person show up. My Adam and Stacy. They come usually every year. They showed up in their brand new Ford Bronco 2-door 7-speed manual.
Yeah, and that Bronco was sweet. I wasn't sure about the Broncos at first, but I really liked it.
Yeah, it was bone stock, had some rigid lights, I think was about it, and it wheeled as good as any vehicle there.
Yeah, it definitely did good. And then I had fun. That was the first time I've been in the dunes. None of my airbags deployed, amazingly enough.
Well, it's not a Nissan, so
yeah.
That photo right there, I thought that was level on top of that dune. You can't really tell because it's not zoomed in, but it's a bit of a razorback. So I bumped the front tires in the air pretty good, cresting that, and then I got on the radio. I was like, "Hey, that's the razorback. So take it easy over there." And I looked in my mirror, and I just see the skid plates of Ben's 4Runner come over. 3 foot air.
Jenkins.
The top of the dude just explodes, and Ben's 4Runner comes flying over. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've got some video here. It's kind of compiled of a bunch of the videos because I had to take out music. But I mean, there's me. You like if you listen to that video, you just hear the front end crunch.
You pop a wheelie because you hit the base of that dune so hard. So that dune's maybe hard to tell in the video. It's not a gradual up the dune. It's like a hard 45-degree angle, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the front end just bouncing with, and it makes it really hard to climb those dunes because you can't hit it with the speed you need to actually get over it because they got such a steep approach right there.
I like you can see Coy go, nope.
I actually tried a couple times, but I didn't have what Ben had to just slam that just like that. And I said, yeah, I think I went over and hit it at a kind of an angle in a different spot.
Yeah, right after this, you hit it from a different angle and you actually get over. And I'm like, well, I'm done.
Yeah, you got it. When they're like that, you got to hit them at a pretty good angle, but then you got to kind of straighten out while trying to fly up. Then we did a night run that night. And this is kind of video. It's one of the things I like about the night runs. Once you kind of get confident on these big dunes, you can drop down stuff that's mind-blowingly steep. And as long as you have either done that dune before or look down and check it out and make sure you're not going straight into a bunch of sagebrush or something, you can just you just put it in low and don't lock up your brakes quite. Just in the sand kind of just slides, you kind of avalanche down. You can go down some crazy steep stuff. And I mean, if you're watching the video, you just see the back of Ben's truck disappear. Like the guy in front of you at night will just be driving and then he just crests over and is gone for 10 seconds till he gets to the bottom and drives out of it.
I mean, if you've never gone out and done dune wheeling in the nighttime, it's a whole nother animal. I mean,
your depth perception, and it's hard to tell where ledges and drops and stuff are. You got to actually be careful.
And this is we had stopped while we were at the on our way to the airplane.
Yeah, the next day we went out to the jet crash out there. It's was it A1 Avenger, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of a memorial. It's a little bit of a drive to get to. Pretty nasty road.
And the next video, if you want to unmute Coy, you can talk about it too. But this was a you got unmute on the video. So there you go. And this is along that same path. Was this an accident that we went down this road?
It wasn't an accident, but there's actually, so that's where the road is on the map and where a road used to be, because you're kind of following some power lines. But there's a drive around this part. We were following Pete though, and he went for the big drop. So it was just a big ledge, and we dropped down that. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was a fun little crawl down.
Yeah,
it's a lot more steeper in person versus video.
Yeah, as always.
As always.
Then we went out to the jet crash, and we all kind of went for a walk, and it's a good mile walk from where you have to park. And there's a memorial plaque. I mean, people died. Not a good crash, but there's about probably close to a mile of debris field that you can kind of walk through. And surprisingly, there's a lot of the weather over there is so dry and they get so little precipitation. I mean, this stuff doesn't even look, you could still read, inlet and do not stand and all that stuff. The paint's still on it. And there's a large tail section that's still there. So we went and checked that out.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like you're walking up to it and you see, it's like, who littered? And then as you get farther in, it's like, oh, wow, that's actually part of the plane. Because they hit there's a cliff face right there. And they hit one side of it on a night run, and it just kind of like they hit and explode and kind of debris fielded right in front of it.
Yeah, they cut the top of the mesa. The back, you can drive up the one side. If you actually walk all the way to the edge of the mesa, it's got to be a 500-foot cliff. I mean, it's a huge cliff. They're doing some kind of low altitude run, and I guess it was a night low altitude training mission. Radar wasn't that good. It was in like the 60s when this happened. Radar wasn't that good, and there was a lot of shadows and fake stuff that would pop up on the radar, but you just kind of had to know what was there. And apparently these guys made a mistake and caught the top of that mesa.
Yeah, and they apparently they warned you not to fly so low there, but that was part of the whole exercise, is to fly low. So What was that? That was the day before the last day. That night we hung out. Next day we had it. Or wait, I forgot to add. Oh, the picture's not in here.
We made a nice. We all did like kind of a potluck that night.
Yep.
I gave Ben a special bottle of whiskey.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait.
Up.
I cannot wait to bring that snow camping. It's spicy pickle whiskey.
Yeah, wicked pickle. It's so good. So good. You guys can't wait for you to try it. It's amazing.
Yes.
Doesn't
Okay.
even taste like soap at all. And we made fondue. My buddy Roy brought a fondue pot and a bunch of cheese we bought and shredded up and made ourselves a bunch of fondue.
Yeah, that was. You got to have the fancy food when you're camping. I think I had steak that night because I went. We stopped at the store there and I grabbed a steak because why not have steak when you're camping, right?
It's true.
Wait, so it was a potluck and Ben just made himself a steak?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was there was a communal potluck and then everybody also kind of made their own thing, but there was a table that people brought to share. It didn't feel rude.
Okay.
But I can see how you would think
that sounded really rude.
Yeah. No, it would have been on brand for Ben, but this was not that.
I'm trying to think. Next morning, your wife made waffles.
Yeah.
Those were good.
Okay, donkey.
Huh?
Oh, the Shrek quote. In the morning, waffles.
Yeah. The kids had fun with that one. I enjoyed the waffles. They were really good because she brought some was it apricot preserves?
Sounds right. Peach, apricot, something she's always canning. So I don't know.
You don't like that stuff, so yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't like fruit.
What else? And then we headed out because we had a long drive home. Well, I especially had a long drive home.
Well, we did another night run that night before, and then we sat around and drank wicked pickle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like, just can't get enough of the night runs, right?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't the second night run more like rocky?
I took you on the Buffalo Wells Road, so there's kind of a rocky trail road that honestly I found it by accident. My father-in-law had been going there for like 20 years, and then I was out there playing around and saw it on my map and kind of drive through the sagebrush, and all of a sudden there's this rocky old road, and now then he knew about it, but he'd been out there forever and never seen it, so we drove that rocky road. Pete was in a stockish, his Tundra is basically completely stock, right?
No, it's got a 2-inch lift.
2-inch lift? Okay. Well, but it was probably the least built, I would say, there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically Bronco's not built, but it comes on 35s. And he I think did really good out in the dunes. He pretty much made it without getting stuck the entire time. He would always almost get stuck and then yell over the radio, "I'm not stuck," and make it.
Yeah.
And then, except for one time, I didn't even get to witness it, but apparently, well, Ben, you tell it.
Okay. So we went over this pretty steep dune, and Pete kind of looked like he turtled, and he didn't have his traction control off. And so I had already turned around expecting him to get stuck because I had a hard time getting over it. And so I had turned around and I pulled out my winch line, and as soon as he stopped, I ran up and I hooked to him, and I ran back to the Forerunner, and I got him unstuck.
I just heard him screaming over the radio. I still didn't get stuck, but I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, I didn't give him. I didn't really give him a chance to see how unstuck he was, or how stuck he wasn't, because it looked to me like he was turtled. So, I mean,
don't do that at home, folks. It's not safe winding practice, but it's still fun.
Oh, he saw me get out. He knew it was coming.
Then we that next morning we all kind of packed up and we were all out on the road by 10 or so, and then I showed you the actual paved road home.
Yeah, we took the right way home.
We land trained all the way to, let's see, you followed me all the way to Sisters, right? We stopped and got some
Pete left, split up from us just before we hit Sisters.
Yeah, he took 97 on into Washington, I believe, and then we stopped and got some food and sisters and parted ways. I went home and you went to visit some family.
Yeah, well, actually, in Sisters, they had we walked around for a little bit. Because they had like folk music day festival going on, which was there. There was some okay sounding music there, but I actually ran to the Ace Hardware because I drove the entire way from the campground to Sisters with no trailer lights because I forgot my trailer plug, or I had lost my trailer plug and needed a new one.
Yeah, you had a 4-way to a RV plug adapter that you lost the adapter and ate the 4-way plug off.
Yeah, so I went and grabbed a new one of those, and they had one at Ace because that's the place, right? And then I headed to Eugene, and so I took what's that pass?
McKinsey, I believe, is what you would have taken. It's really curvy.
Really curvy, not really fun with a teardrop trailer that's a few inches wider than your vehicle. Because of oncoming traffic, they're narrow roads. They say like vehicle length limit of 20 or 30 feet, something like that, because of how narrow it is. Definitely outside my comfort zone. It was a little sketchy a few times just because of how wide the trailer is. But I went to Eugene and I saw my nephews for the first time, and let's see, he's 17, so 15 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, I lived in Eugene for a little bit with them, so I stopped at their house, talked to my old sister-in-law, and hung out with them for about 15-20 minutes, and then drove the rest of the way home. And then I came home, and the very next day I went and bought this trailer.
Which is just a slight. I have essentially the smaller version of that trailer.
Yeah.
So did your wife like my trailer, or how did this all come about?
So she liked your Rockwood trailer, and we were like, "Oh, that's really nice." And then I think when we were on our way home, she just Googled or checked Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp in our area, and that one was on. Someone had it posted. I got it for like $4,000.
That's a super good deal.
So the inside was all moldy on the back side here where the full size bed is, and that's because they didn't or actually, well, I've determined that it was because the roof was leaking. So
Travis on the comments there says Santiam Pass is a windy narrow. No, Santiam Pass is what I took home. Maybe it wasn't McKinsey. I can't remember. There's 3 passes there. He took the one from you cut off in Sisters, right? And popped out down by Springfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, Santiam Pass is windy, but it's not narrow. I've taken semis over. It's not too bad, really. But I swore it was McKinsey is the windy one. But yeah, and that pretty much wrapped up our trip weekend, right?
Yeah, Travis, it wouldn't have been it would have been just fine on the 4Runner. It's just with the trailer. The trailer's 6 foot wide with the body alone. Yeah, Old McKinsey
Highway. Yes, that is it. Thank you, Facebook user, whoever you are.
So yeah, that was my trip. And then Coy, you had another trip, what, 3 weeks later?
Yeah, I had a Moab trip planned for quite a while, and I took off, what was the date? The 26th or 27th of October, and then came home. I think I ended up getting home on the 4th of November.
Yeah. That must be Ruth who's commenting.
I really doubt it. She doesn't know the name of roads like that, so it's possible, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, if it is Ruth, you just offended her. So
yeah, well, she's been hiding a skill set that I've needed many times. Yeah, so I guess we can just jump into the Moab trip. I had a Moab trip planned for, I don't know, a good 6-8 months or so. My friend Garrett was going with me, and then a guy I work with, Heath, came with me. Garrett had a I think it was a 96 Grand Cherokee. And then my buddy Heath, if you go back to that blue Toyota, so that is I believe it's an 81, and it looks just like a Toyota truck in that picture. But if you notice, there's no back of the cab there. So that's Winnebago made these conversions. That's a Toyota Trailblazer. They made like 1,200 of them, and then they started calling them Toyota Trekkers. That was essentially a 4Runner before they made 4Runners. So there's actually, he doesn't have it on, but there's a fiberglass bed cap there, and then seats go in the back, and it's
very
like
similar to the first gens, but more truck-esque.
it's a first gen pickup that was a 4Runner essentially.
Oh, okay.
But then Toyota actually started making them, but Winnebago did these conversions back in the day.
I can see it with how the bed is right there.
So there's a cap. He didn't bring the cap. He trailered, but it's pretty stock actually. He's got 33s on it and a little 22R, and the half tube doors. But other than that, it's really completely stock. And then there's the old disposable Hero right there, Garrett's mobile, and that was on 32s or something like that. And he had a winch and bumpers and a little lift, 3-inch lift or something on it. So we showed up. Took me 2 days to drive there. Me and my wife found a hotel just outside of Salt Lake, and I'd found one for like $70, $69 or something. And then my wife's a big couponer, so she was banging away on the old keyboard and said, "I just saved us $10." And I thought like she'd couponed $10 off. Instead, she moved us to a different crackhead hotel down the road, and it was epically bad. I walked in and none of the lights worked. And then I walked over and thought I'd click on the wall because I had like the lamps that come out of the wall. When I grabbed it and moved it I put my hand on it, and then the other hand I was reaching for the switch, just grabbing it, jiggled the wiring enough, it turned on. The bathroom door, you could see where they had ripped the doorknob out of it and then plugged that with like foam and put another doorknob in it. The sink was all cracked up. There was a full-on kidnapper van in the parking lot. The door to the hotel room didn't lock. Like you could just walk up and push it open. So you could lock it from the inside with the chain thing, but yeah.
Oh, so one of the doors you can just pretty easily kick open?
No, you could just grab it and open it. Even like hotel rooms, you're supposed to use a key card, which you'd run it in and beep, but you didn't have to. You could just turn the handle and open it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's not a safety thing at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, and then the sound of it. I had a video. I should have sent it to you. It was like a horror movie. Like as the door automatically closed, it just, this horrible noise. But it did its job. We slept, and then from there, I think it was 4 hours left to Moab. We shot the rest of the distance, and then I stopped at a called Green River Launch Complex. It's an old abandoned missile base, and let the kids run around and check it out. There's a part of it. And you can kind of go underground under the berm through it. That's an old, that's the actual missile launch tower thing there you just seen. Used to launch the missiles there. There's a big building that was on like railroad tracks that would go over that. Yeah, you can see all the conduit trays and stuff. But if you go there, I recommend you go check that out. It's called Green River Launch Complex. Yeah. And then we kind of all got unloaded, got there that first day, and then we went and ran. We ran Fins and Things first, just to let everybody get kind of a.
Is that the Crackhead Hotel?
That is, yeah. See the kidnapper van right there.
Yep,
right there in the photo. Yeah, it looks super nice, doesn't it?
That is like the biggest van to kidnap lots of children.
Yes, I'm sure they had a full like meat processing thing in the back of it or something.
So you ran fishing things?
Fins and Things is the name of the first trail we ran. I just wanted the guys with me to kind of, that's kind of an easy trail there. Just kind of get used to some of it. And the very end of it is similar to how Hell's Revenge feels. So it kind of gets used to that. We ran Baby Lion's Back. It's just a Baby Lion's Back's not a trail. It's just a little obstacle off the road, just up and down. It had just rained there, and which put kind of water and sand. People track sand all over everything, wheeling it. But everybody liked it. Then the next day we got up and I was wanting to do Hell's Revenge and then maybe another trail. So we ran Hell's Revenge and then we got to Hell's Gate. I dropped down in it. Garrett dropped down in it. Heath dropped down in it. That's a great picture. That dude was paragliding there. That's at the exit of Fins and Things, or not paragliding, whatever those little motorized go-kart parachute things
Wrap
are.
a fan to your back and go fly.
His was like a go-kart with a fan strapped to it, but yes.
What was that movie like? Fly Away Home with the geese?
Possibly.
Yeah, that's what they had. It's like a ultralight little go-kart thing.
Yeah, but so we dropped in Hell's Revenge, and me and Aaron did Hell's Revenge, or sorry, not Hell's Revenge, Hell's Gate, the side up to Hell's Gate. When we did it, it was 107, dry as a bone. We did it no problem. That's me coming out of it right there in that picture. Tons of traction, super easy. Well, this time you kind of see if you look in front of my truck there, all that sand in the V.
Yeah.
So, and there was actually kind of a water puddle at the bottom. Sand was all up and down this. It made it much more challenging. I have a rear locker, so I climbed out of it. It wasn't too bad. My buddy Garrett in the Cherokee, he did not have a rear locker. So he got about halfway up it, tried, several times, and then kind of got out of the line in the notch, and then I won't say flopped it, but it slowly rolled enough to where it was touching the side, and I ran down there and jumped on the bumper, put it back on all four, and it didn't damage his truck or anything. Just pushed the mirror, folded it in. Then we winched him up. It took a few minutes, but he just needed a little tug to get it up. Then Heath in his Toyota went to go up it, and it's carbureted, and Hell's Gate is so steep. The carbureted vehicles with just a regular carburetor have he has to like floor it and stuff to keep it running. And so he's wheel hopping. He can't just crawl up it like you need to do. And then he kind of tried that a few times. It was hopping real bad. And then he rolled to the bottom. It wouldn't start. So I slid on my butt all the way down there. And we thought it was not having a fuel or not getting fuel. But then we pulled some lines. I mean, we were down there an hour trying to diagnose it. And we're like, I pulled a spark plug to see if it was over, if it had flooded, because we thought maybe it flooded out. And the spark plugs were bone dry, and while I had the spark plug out, let's check for spark, and it had no spark, just nothing. And he had actually got that truck all finished running like 3 days before the trip. Like, it barely ran. He had like a 1 mile test drive. So we're like, he had messed with some wires under the dash, had to splice some stuff. It was like, it's got to be something in the wiring. Then let's dive under there and redo those splices. So he leaned under the dash on the driver's side, and as I was walking around the truck to the passenger side, I just grabbed the top of his cap and rotor, the distributor, and like as I walked by, I just kind of gave it a wiggle, and it just moves. And I'm like, oh, we got the problem here. And he had a Davis DUI upgraded distributor on there, and it has like four screws that hold the cap on, but you push them in and then rotate. There's kind of an L-shaped spring-loaded clip that then clips the back of the distributor and holds that cap on there. The bottom two had somehow rotated out, and then that capped move and just grenaded the rotor inside the cap.
Oh no!
And he's at this point at the bottom of Hell's Gate, so there's only one way in and out, and they're both steep and hard to do. So I pulled the rotor out, and I'm like, there's no phone service there, but I'm like, I'm going to finish the rest of the trail. And you're just over halfway through the trail at Hell's Gate obstacle. I'm like, I'm going to run for another rotor. It's clearly not a stock rotor, but I'm going to Google it and figure it out, hopefully. Cause I'm like, this is an aftermarket system, but there's no way that they have their own bespoke rotor. It's going to be, they're going to have stolen this cap and rotor off some other brand of vehicle. And then it's on here. So as I walked to the top, my buddy Garrett, he's an old V8 guy. And I was like, Garrett, what rotor is this? And he just glanced over. He's like, it's GMHEI rotor. And I'm like, yes. So we go down and I run the rest of the trail. There was a Jeep Jamboree going on this weekend. I was almost to the exit when I got stuck behind, and I kid you not, probably 25 Jeeps. They're taking pictures. They're spotting each other through flat rocks. 1 mile an hour. It was horrible. So I got stuck behind them, and at this point it's 4:30, and parts stores are going to start closing at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Excuse me. And finally there's kind of 3 or 4 different little paths you can take, and they took one of the side ones, and I just boom shot past them, ran to the parts store, got one rotor from one parts store, and there's like a CarQuest and a Connex or O'Reilly's or something next door. So I got one rotor from one, walked over, they had a rotor, so I just got 2 just in case. Grabbed those, and while I was on my way out, some guys were going in, and they were in like these built sidekicks. They're only on like 31, 33-inch tires, but they were all, exo cages and stuff. They're really cool looking. I actually stopped and was like, dude, I love your sidekicks. One guy had kind of truggied one, but they're like mini truggies. I don't know. They're on smaller tires than me, but exoed. They were just cool. So I got those parts, dropped my family off. Garrett dropped his Jeep off, and then we jumped in the FJ, and then we ran back. Then he got to start at the beginning of the trail again, run back to Hell's Gate. And apparently the guys in those Sammys or sidekicks went ahead and winched him up Hell's Gate. So he technically did Hell's Gate. He just not under power, which was good for us. Threw that rotor on, fires immediately, runs fine. And it's dark at that point. Just got dark. So we hit the lights, and he's never ran this trail. He ran half of it to that point. And then we did the last half in total darkness. So he's got all the lights on. And if you ever ran that trail before, that last half, I mean, it's just steep up, steep down, drop offs. It's almost like the dunes where you're just driving and the guy in front of you just goes over an edge and disappears. He said he was the whole time just like, when is this trail going to end? And then he'd say to himself, oh, wait, I like doing trails. Like, this is why I'm here. He said then a few minutes would go by, and he's like, what is happening? So he got to do the rest of that in the dark, and it was fun for me. I actually wanted to do a night wheeling trip, but just not under duress. So we went ahead and got him out of there and loaded his truck back on the trailer and went back for the night. And I had kind of wanted to do Poison Spider that next day, but since we'd had such a rigmarole on Hell's Gate and Hell's Revenge, that I was like, let's do an easy one tomorrow. And we got up and we ran and did Potash Roads, Schaefer Switchbacks, which it's kind of a nothing in the wheeling zone, but it's beautiful. We saw some actual huge mountain goats. That's 3D trail actually, but ran that. And then the next morning, check that out. Garrett got sick at the end of that trail and was throwing up and stuff. So then we went home, kind of made it an early day, not home, but back to our hotels and stuff.
Mountain goats on the side, on the top.
I didn't send you the mountain goats picture, but okay. I mean, it was a beautiful mountain goat. It was a whole kind of mini herd. There's 5 or 6 of them, some little ones and a couple big ones. But yeah, it was really cool. Then we ran the next day. Heath said, I'm going to take off and just he was only planning on staying until Tuesday, but I think that was Monday at that point. He went ahead and decided to take off early, and he wanted to check out Arches on his way out. And he took off. So it's just me and Garrett. And I was like, well, he didn't want to do Poison Spider with just the 2 of us. So in our Facebook group, somebody had said that Elephant Hill was a pretty easy one. So we went out. You got to go to turns out Canyonlands Park from Moab. Actual Canyonlands Park's maybe 45 minutes. But the park's so huge, the Needles district of Canyonlands is actually like an hour and a half drive the other way, and the road doesn't connect in the middle, but the address is still Canyonlands. So went out to Canyonlands to do Elephant Hill, which I rolled up and told the Forest Service people what was going on. They paid for my week-long pass since you can't do day passes. And they're like, hey, just so you know, it's $1,700 to just get a tow truck here. And this is the most challenging road in North America. And I was like, I was understanding that this was kind of an easy trail. They're like, oh yeah, no. And I'm like, well, I just did Hell's Revenge yesterday. Like, how is it? Like, oh, well, then you're probably fine. It's just, this is technically a road. That's a trail. So this is the most challenging road in North America. And I was like, oh, okay. Well,
there's a big difference there. A road and a trail are 2 different things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's technically a trail, or I mean a road, but it's a trail. So we ran, and that was on Halloween. So we actually wanted to get back kind of early that day. So take the kids trick or treating. We ran the first part of that, and it was not easy. I would not say it's an easy trail. It's kind of a rock crawl and these crazy switchbacks. You actually have to back up. Like you come down a switchback and it's so steep. Instead of turning and going the other way, you pull straight and then you back up to the next switchback and then go again.
Oh, wow.
Super beautiful, just crazy looking. If you bump through the pictures real quick, I'll stop you at one. So yeah, just right there. No, keep going.
Sorry, they're in no particular order.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my fault.
Oh, that's also my fault. Because
So that's we'll go back one. So that's the entrance we're coming out of it. That's the entrance to this trail. And that hillside right above you, there's a road up that rock cliff straight there. Like you can't really see it, but
love it.
Yeah. This is Elephant Hill right here. You can see, I mean, that's
like,
and
I think like you don't need super clearance, at least for this report section right here.
This section right here, you can tell that they put a bunch of concrete to like fill in the crevices, but it's like been worn out and chipped away. So I bet at one time this was fairly intermediate, but depending on the concrete they dump out there, it can go. Go back one there. That's Elephant Hill. That's kind of a flat sand part there, but just that scenery behind me there, that like looks like it's out of a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Yeah,
you're just surrounded by that. It's absolutely gorgeous. But and that same thing right there, that one has some concrete on it, but really steep. And we got through that whole section where you drop down and it got to just kind of a dirt road again. And we drove, in like another mile, and then you get to a Y where it says, then it's a one-way loop. And we're looking at the clock and we're just like, we're not going to make it back in time for trick-or-treating. And the gals were very adamant. So we turned around there, and now I have to go back and conquer Elephant Hill. I haven't completed it. I wasn't beat, but I ran out of time. Because from Elephant Hill, it's a good hour and a half drive back to Moab. And then we still had to kind of go pop over this little ridge to get back in. So went back, went trick-or-treating, did all that. And then the next morning we got up, and my buddy Garrett, he had been sick the day before. They had like the flu run through their family. So they got up and their boy was just coming out both ends, and it was a mess. And they're just like, look, we can't do anything. And they were planning on leaving on the next day on Wednesday anyways. Like, we're going to try and get him to where we can start moving, and then we're just going to take off because it's just running through their family, whatever this cold or flu or whatever it was. COVID. So they took off, and I did a bunch of looking on trails and decided to do 7 Mile Rim. And 7 Mile Rim
that you need the pass for?
No, that's White Rim.
Okay.
White Rim's kind of a 2-day trail, so you want to camp on it, and I don't think it's super challenging, but
no, it's not super challenging. I just know you need a pass for it.
Josh Stagg in the comment says, who wheeled the concrete truck out there? There's absolutely no way they got a concrete truck up there. So it kind of goes a nasty little hill climb, rock crawl thing. And then it's probably a half-mile flat sand road. And then it's a steep descent into this canyon. And that's the nasty part. So I don't know. I'm assuming they got dry concrete up there and somehow got a water trailer and then mixed it and dumped it in. I don't know how they did it.
I could see like an older truck with like the water, and then maybe another truck with a mixer.
Yeah, I
mix and pour and go.
No idea how they did it, but I'm sure they paid way. They probably airdropped it. I don't know. That's national national. So that's all federal money in there. So who knows what they did? They probably had the Army National Guard do it or something.
It's possible that. Well, it could have been the what are they called?
The civil engineers.
No, there was a corps group. It was to help with the jobs after the Depression.
Oh, Job Corps?
No, it was the jobs after the Depression, like to get people back to working again. Civil something. I can't remember what they called, but they used them for a lot of national parks jobs.
Could have been. I would assume that they did this before whenever the Depression was, but
yeah,
who knows? But anyways, went out and did 7 Mile Rim Trail, and at this point I'm by myself, and I got another 3 days, so I had to bail on Poison Spider because I'm not going to do that by myself. So went and did
Poison Spider with Aaron?
No, we didn't run Poison Spider. Gotcha. So I have one more good Moab trip in me. I got enough trails. I got one more trip to knock out all the trails I want to do still, basically, and then it's then I'm gonna have to be a Sand Hollow guy. I think go check that out. But
So then, when are we going?
the next Moab trip?
Yeah.
Oh, my wife's already scheduling. It's going to be early October next year.
Okay.
Do you want dates when I have them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, they have a timeshare there now. So I don't know if you have access to Worldmark, but it's very nice.
There we go. Eric's coming in here with the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Well,
Corp.
they need to get them back in there.
Not corpse.
Corp.
Core.
Yeah.
The P is silent.
So it's yes.
Anywho, 7 Mile Rim Trail, guys. It's not a crazy challenging trail, but it is one of the coolest. It might be the best trail in Moab for the money. Like if you just want something that has some light wheeling and the views, and it's actually a nice long trail. It's good 7 miles of the wheeling part of it, plus probably in total to get there in dirt and everything, you're probably looking at 20 something miles. But the actual trail is only like 6.7 miles or something. But it climbs up to these cliffs. You're just looking out over and you're just following these cliff edges. Starts out just kind of rocky road and loose rock and stuff. Then you get to kind of smooth rock with some sand on these cliff edges. It goes by Uranium Arch, which this is a picture of it behind me at night, which it's hard to see in this tiny picture, but this cool arch cave section area. Then it drops through a bunch of flat rock that has like almost like ditches through it. Just they're not cracks, but they're like worn ditches. Kind of you've seen videos of like the Golden Spike in Moab, that crack that everybody drives across at an angle.
Yeah.
It's like mini versions of that, bunch of those. Almost anything that's any kind of challenging part, you have the option to bypass. Almost everything is bypassable. Then you get to a spot that's very Hell's Revenge-esque, just this rolling smooth rock. It's not steep like Hell's Revenge, but really rolling and smoothing and really cool looking. You drive between these two big buttes. So there's, two huge butte towers on either side of you, and there's probably 200 feet between them. Feels like you're in a Star Wars movie or something. You should be doing some pod racing there or something.
Nice.
And there, I did that. I said that just for you, Jeremy. I want you to know. I don't know anything about that nerdy Star Wars movie, but if I did, that's what it felt like. And anyways, then it kind of there's a side obstacle after you go through that section. I can't remember the name. Wipeout Hill. I think I could do the up part of it. The downhill part of it, I don't think I won't take my vehicle through, but I may try that next time we go back. We'll see.
There's a video you shared, Coy. What's that? Should I share that?
I don't know what video it is.
I just thought I would let you.
You're muted.
That's Fins and Things. You can hear my kids screaming snow for some reason. Not sure what's going on there. That's Fins and Things, and you can see the I believe they're the LaSalle Mountains in the background with a bunch of snow on them.
Nice.
It was just scenic.
That definitely looks like fun.
What was that, Jeremy?
Oh, sorry. You don't let your kids out that often, so they don't see snow much?
No, I don't remember. They were in some kind of. I just kind of let them go wild in the back. They had one of the other kids in there with them, and they were doing some kind of game, and I don't know what the deal was.
Yeah.
But to get because Hell's Revenge is so steep in spots that it actually kind of scares them at times. So to keep their minds off of it, there's arrows drawn on the trail, these yellow like painted on arrows, and I told them they were power-ups, and then every time we'd hit one, I'd yell ding, and then they would yell, I'd be like, we're gonna hit one now, and then they'd yell ding, and then I did like a Mario Kart. I'm like, all right, we're all powered up. I have to use the boost to get up this hill. Do we have enough power-ups? And I just turn it into a game as we're driving, stuff like that. But,
good way to keep them entertained. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it just kind of keeps them from getting too anxiety ridden. Anyways, and then 7 Mile Rim drops into these washes, like out of a cowboy movie. It's kind of a little water in the bottom, 10-foot berms on each side. And you're just working through this wash. And then it has one last obstacle that's not bypassable on the way out or way in, depending on which way you're in the trail. And it's not that bad. It's kind of a little lip. That's 7 Mile Rim there. To the left of that picture is like 1,000-foot cliff.
Nice.
And it's, so that trail basically hits every kind of terrain at Schaefer's. That 7 Mile Rim hits like a little bit of every terrain that you can, that 7 mile there. It hits every terrain in Moab basically. And it's fun enough that was totally comfortable running it by myself. I still had a good time. There's spots that could be challenging if you want them to be. If not, you can just bypass them.
Yeah.
The next day, just leave it on this one. The next day I ran 3D trail, and this is a cave that's on there that just goes, there's like a cave through this mesa. This is probably a 200, maybe 500, I don't know. Foot cave just pops through the mesa. It's called, name's escaping me. Starts with a T, Topher Cave, something like that. I can't remember. I'm sure I butchered it. It's a little cave you whip off through. Go check out. It's really cool. 3D trail is a really easy trail. Would be amazing on a side-by-side, honestly. Because it's just a lot of dirt roads. And you can tell a lot of side-by-sides have ran it because of all the berms on the sides that everybody likes to drive way up, which is cool. But side-by-sides have ran it so much. There are actually spots where they've driven up the wall of a wash or something so much that they've now turned the whole road into this just angled berm. And then in a truck, you're either forced to fly around it at speed, or you're just like at this crazy angle trying to drive around it. But
there's a few spots like that we were going through the dunes too.
Some of it's like that, but the berms are even taller. I mean, they go up 6-7 foot, but it's fun. You drive through a lot of washes on 3D trail. There's a couple hills and some rocky areas, but a lot of washes. And one of the washes, I can't remember if they had a name for it, but it's all red dirt and red rock. Feels like you're on Mars, and that wash is, it's like 30 foot deep. There's tall sidewalls. I mean, it'd be a horrible place to be if there was any actual rain, but it's like you're being on another planet. It's just amazing. And then if you go through those pictures, there's that little ring.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
So the picture wouldn't do that justice, but that's where you're supposed to turn around at the end of this one spot. It doesn't do it justice, but that berm that's been cut in a circle there, it looks like nothing in the picture. That berm is so steep, I wouldn't drive my truck around it because I'm afraid it would fall in. That hump in the middle is a good 5 feet tall, and the outside berm is probably 6 or 7 foot tall from side by sides, just doing a circle around there endlessly.
Oh, I can just imagine being on a side-by-side and doing that too.
Oh, the 3D trail would be amazing on a side-by-side. And then on the exit of it, there's a couple, Mashed Potato Hill, which I didn't run. It's a kind of an off trail of it. There's a section in there. They call it 3D trail with a pickle trail, but I didn't run that because the ratings for it were a minimum of 35 with lockers and a winch, preferably 37s, and they said expect body damage. So I was like,
body damage,
something along like body damage. Like you have to be okay with body damage, basically. And it's the pickle trail is actually really short. It's only a mile or two, and you can jump off of 3D and go through it. But I was like, you know what? I'm by myself. This sounds like a lot. Not going to do that, but maybe a different trip we'll try it. And then the very exit of 3D it's the only really challenging part that you can't bypass. It's a real steep, narrow, loose road, real steep up, and then it flattens out, but it stays super narrow. It's just like a dirt berm you're driving down, real rock berm. And I mean, it's 40 feet straight down on each side, real narrow, and then you cut out and over and then back to the highway.
Do you think it's like gatekeeper-ish or no?
No, I mean, it's totally doable. It's just really unnerving, especially when you're like, it's explained. It's just a narrow. You've driven on like where they've filled in, like say they put a gravel road across a swamp or something. So it's like 6 foot. It's like that, but it's on the side of a mountain, basically. It's real steep and then just steep on each side. And that rock looks like it's been piled up 30 feet, but it's a natural rock road area. They had a name for it, but I don't remember it, the hill. Then the next day was going to be our last day, essentially. So we went and ran Gemini Bridges, which is a road. It's not really a trail, and just goes out to these arches, kind of. Used to be able to drive all the way to them, but it's 2 arches side by side. They're and you can walk around them. Somebody tried to straddle them with a Jeep and straddle put one tire on each arch and drive across it. Then they promptly fell 160 feet to their deaths. So you can't drive all the way to it anymore. You got to walk the last little bit. Yeah.
That's terrible. Jeremy.
Anywho, I ran that. It's kind of a nothing, honestly, but it's cool and it's scenic. Then I went and ran Onion Creek, which is also just a dirt road, but it rained and snowed a little bit. And that has 27 creek crossings. And by creek, I mean 4 inches deep at least. And it had just rained. So, but I mean, it's every mile. You're just up probably less than a mile. Some of it's a couple hundred feet. So the same creek just back and forth all the way through. And you just up, down, through the creek. Ran all the way to the top of that. When I was almost to the top of the hill, it was a real slick, muddy spot. There's a bunch of vehicles coming down, kind of a whole train of them. I run to the top, mess around. And then as I come down, I come to a corner and catch up to that group. And one of them had it was a cut into the bank corner with about a 15-foot drop on the one side. And a truck just shot straight, just understeered straight off and flopped onto its side and was down there. They're all sitting there looking at it. It had flopped onto its side. They'd pushed it back on its wheels, but it flopped so slowly on its side. All it did was break the mirror.
Wow.
It was totally fine.
Was the ground just that soft there?
No, it was just such a steep bank that when he got there, the truck was already at like a 50-degree angle, and then it just kind of slowly rolled. Like he basically came to a stop and then just rolled on his side barely. Sorry, Josh, all the yawning is killing you. Yeah, it's getting late here too, you know. Sorry. I don't know if it was me. Probably was. Anyways, he had flopped it there a little bit. They'd pushed it back on the side, and there was a Tacoma and a Bronco that was in the back, and the Tacoma was hooked up to it, getting ready to pull him out. And I was like, hey, I got a winch. And they were like, oh, no, we got it. I was like, you sure? Because I can just drag the back end, up and just pull him straight onto the road. He's like, nope, we're going to pull him out the same way he went in. So they're going to side hill this truck the same way it went in, across the bank long ways into the bottom. I was like, probably better to winch, but he's like, I got it. I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I was like, okay. It was a young guy, 20 maybe. He hooks up to him, and then he hooked his buddy up to the front of it at maybe a 30-degree angle and hooked it to the front. And that idea was like to keep it from rolling back over, but he hooked up to that with a kinetic strap. And I was like, bro, that's a 30-foot strap, 30% stretch. That's got 10 foot of stretch in it. Like if that rolls, it's just, your strap is just going to strap is just going to stretch. And once again, he was like, nope, we've done this before. I got it. He floors it backwards. They get him out halfway or so. And then the Bronco was parked too close to him. So they had to move the Bronco, and he's on the outside edge of the road. I'm like, hey man, you want to pull up and unhook, and you can reset to the inside of the corner. So you're pulling him up the bank more, and I'll hook you back up. He's like, no, I'm going to pull him out the exact same way he went in. We're good. Like, you're getting awfully close to that tree. He's like, yeah, no, it'll be fine. They hit it again. They just wipe this thing down the side of a tree and knock out the passenger side window, just collapse the door, and they don't even let off. They just trash this thing. And as I'd been talking to them, it turned out they were a R&D division for, we'll just say, a major manufacturer. So these guys, and I thought they were all part of this R&D division. And at that point, I'm like, bro, like, you're almost out. And then the bank kind of came up to where it was getting maybe 2 or 3 feet of bank where they got it to,
Mhm.
but it was going to drop down if they went any farther and start being a large drop again. It's like, let me get my truck in here. I'll just winch the back end onto the road. We'll pull them straight on and we'll be done with this. He kind of begrudgingly let me, and I just popped him back on. The truck was a body in white, manufacturer plates, no VIN, just white paint where the VIN was supposed to be, no VIN tag. But I popped him back on, and then at that point, we were all talking, and I found out the Tacoma and the Bronco and those guys were a separate group, not part of the R&D division, that just trashed these guys' truck. And the whole time I was just like, hey, it's your guys' truck, dude. You know, do it how you want, but I got a winch and I'm here. Like, I can just pop them out real easy. And they're like, no, we got it. And they just smashed this dude's truck up. They were begging us not to take pictures or videos. Begging us. I still got a couple pictures. Ben, you can probably pop one up there. You'll see a white vehicle with a tow strap behind it. I'm not going to say what manufacturer it was, but
I don't know if you sent me that.
Check your messenger again, because I sent you two
Okay.
things of pictures. I'll just say that nobody on the podcast right now owns this vehicle brand at this moment. Probably next week someone would.
Oh, yep. I
Okay.
see.
It's a Japanese vehicle that's not a Toyota. So we won't get too much into it. But yeah, this is actually my hotel room had this picture above it. That's really cool. Anyways, I gave them then a quart of oil so that they could top off the oil, because a bunch of it ran out, and that got them back on the dipstick. They were not really all that grateful, surprisingly.
Really?
I mean, they said thank you, but then they're like, hey, you want to follow us out? And I followed them out, and then I stopped to talk to them, and they just kind of, I think they were really embarrassed, honestly. Like, they're
Was
an
it the
RT
guys
team.
that helped them that were embarrassed, or
No, those guys, they screwed around and stayed behind, and I followed the R&D team out. They asked me, like, hey, will you follow us out just in case something else happens?
because you obviously know what's going on and what to do?
Yeah, I think they picked up on it.
That's
And I was like, look, guys, when we stopped, I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I thought they were with you, or I would have tried to intervene more, but like, I thought they kind of screwed you, but sorry about that. Yeah, so can't tell, but those are manufacturer plates.
yeah,
And I'm not really sure what they were doing. They weren't doing any R&D. I asked him, like, hey, this truck's kind of old news now. Like, what are you R&Ding? And he's like, we got some friends from over the pond, and we're just showing them our R&D grounds. So they had one guy that was very Japanese, and I'm assuming that was him. And SEMA was that week, so I'm assuming somebody from Japan came to SEMA, and then they had a good time with him, but took him out to Moab. But I really don't know. They wouldn't say.
SEMA?
What's that?
That was the week before SEMA, right?
I think that was the week of SEMA. SEMA was going on that particular week.
Yeah, because SEMA doesn't SEMA start on like a Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that?
Yeah, so that was the weekend that it would have ended.
Oh, okay.
So this was a Friday. You can see some snow on the ground and tell that road's super muddy and slick. You know, it's like the top 2 inches of the road gets super muddy, and then it's hard underneath it, which makes it really slick.
Yeah, it sucks that they had those guys help them and like damage the vehicles.
Well, it sucked in my point of view, but when I said that, I was like, I'm sorry, I would have got you out with no problems. I thought they were your guys though, so I was trying not to like step on their feet. He's like, don't worry about it. I have plenty more white doors at work. So
Nice.
yeah. He said the only challenging thing is that's a body in white, so that's a different white than they sell. He's like, I actually just have to find the right shade of white, but yeah, it's not a big deal. I didn't really care.
That's funny.
He actually complained that they would have to fill out some kind of, was like, oh, we mashed up a truck. Now I got to fill out a whatever, something SRA comp form, blah, blah, blah. And I almost, at this point, when we were actually stopped at the exit, I had an off-road podcast patch, and I had told my wife, like, I should just roll over there and be like, hey guys, this is for you.
That would have been a good one.
I thought about it, but then, yeah, I let it go.
Oh, well. That is cool, though. So you didn't get to see how well it performed, obviously, then, right?
No, well, I saw how well it didn't perform.
Yeah, I was actually looking at those recently when it was up on whether or not the Forerunner was going to get fixed, because they're a lot more affordable than a Tacoma.
After I got it back on the road, I was like, "Hey, you got any lights on your dash on?" And he's like, "Just all of them." It's full Christmas tree. So that was disappointing for them, I guess.
Side, I mean, he's lucky his airbags didn't deploy like somebody else's.
Yeah, from the show's history, you would think that particular brand has issues with airbags deploying when they shouldn't, but they didn't deploy at all. So
nice.
But anyways, that was my last trail. They're also shooting a movie out there, some kind of cowboy movie, and we got to drive by where they had all the movie trailers set up and stuff. It's kind of cool seeing that.
Cool.
Spent the last night there, got up at 5 a.m. and ripped out of there. And my goal was to try and make it home one day. We didn't rent a hotel on the way back or anything. If I needed to stop, I'd stop. The speed limit through Utah and Idaho is all 80 miles an hour. So I just had it at like 82, set my GPS to record all my, stats. Every gas station stop, I was like a drill sergeant, like I'm fueling up. I'm like, take the kids in and move, bathroom. And then I'd pull up and the kids would be loading back up. I'd shoulder roll in, use the bathroom, jump back in the truck, and we'd rip out of there. I kept my average speed counting stops above 60 miles an hour. And I made it back. Left there at about 5:30 ish, and I rolled into my house right at 9.
How long was that? How long is it?
It's, if it took me, so I went like say 5:30 to 9, but then there's a hour. I gained an hour in time zone coming back. And then I had, I think, an hour and a half in stops, and a half hour of that I stopped at a fireworks stand. So you can totally do it in one day from where I live anyways. I think it's just under 15 hours.
I think I saw mine. It's like 18 hours, which again can be done in one day. Not very comfortably, but
it wasn't the easiest, but it wasn't too bad. I kept the kids occupied, and we made her back in one day, and then I was back that Saturday night, and I had Sunday to relax and back to work on Monday.
And wasn't it like the following weekend you got that deer?
I got a deer the weekend before that.
Okay.
My super massive knocked the milk mustache right off of it.
There we go. Oh man, look at that deer.
Look at that beauty. Those horns are almost as big as my pinky.
Almost. Well, right on, man. It sounds like you had fun. I wish I would have made it to Moab. We talked about it before, but the wife wasn't gonna let me go. So,
well, Ben, like I said, the wife's already trying to book some rooms for next October. Early October is what we're shooting for, because that's kind of it's off peak season, but still
the weather's decent.
The weather's not horrible yet, so it was pretty cold there and had a little bit of snow at the end of October, early November. So we're going to shoot for early October next year. So put it on your calendar.
Yeah,
first 2 weeks of October, somewhere in there.
I might be able to make. There's a part of me. I'm going to Moab. I'm going to SEMA next year.
Yeah.
It's
Makes
official.
That's a couple weeks after where I'm going to be there. So
I'm officially announcing I'm going to SEMA next year. Very excited for that. Groundwork has been laid, so I just got to do some other work and then we'll be going. So yeah, but I must say my kids had an absolute blast at the dunes. Teddy has been talking about, Dad, we go dunes? Or I mentioned going wheeling, and Henry's like, you going to the dunes? I'm like, no, to the woods. And he's like, oh, never mind.
Well, maybe we'll try and get you out here in like the spring to the coast dunes. I usually go in like April.
That's around when my birthday is, so I'm always down for that. I know Pete was talking about the dunes again too, so we've got a couple places up here. Like Moses Lake has some dunes that I've never been to.
Oh,
so it's
not so there's a
super
FJ Cruiser Florence Dune Run event I think it's the first weekend last weekend of March, first weekend. It's always right around Easter.
Oh,
and
perfect.
It's kind of a 3-day weekend thing. But since FJ Cruisers aren't really in production anymore, it's kind of turned into just a Toyota thing. So
Yeah.
I usually go camp out and do that. And it's usually raining and horrible weather, but it's a good time.
First weekend of April is the 1st. The following weekend's my birthday. So
That would be a good trip.
Yep. As long as we spring break is my only ever problem because family stuff. But yeah. Well, thanks to everyone who listens to us weekly and those who catch us live on YouTube and have lasted the whole hour and 34 minutes that we've been on. So yeah, share us with our friends, help us grow. Don't forget to write in for the contest. Hopefully you guys all had a safe and great Thanksgiving, and God bless America. Where's the outro button?
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
You know, I'm thankful for, Coy.
What's that?
The listeners.
The listeners. Me too.